Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Still have 4 minutes. Time for any informal discussion anybody wants to have.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Happy Shivaratri. I know in India it's almost it's over.
Happy Mahashivratri to everyone. Yesterday we did a session on Lord Shiva. Today we're going to do it on Lord Ram. So
Actually, I had a question which I was asking Prakash, like for Dwapar Yuga and this thing we have Krishna and Treta Yuga, Ram and all. Then who is the god for Kali Yuga?
who's the god for Kali Yuga? The god is god for all the yugas. He might have taken avatars. But
Yeah,
if
that's
you
what. And which avatar?
really want to wait for that avatar, then you'll have to be reborn a lot of times and come towards the end of Kali Yuga where Kalki avatar is going to come. If we are around that time, then that means we have not done a good job. Okay, end of Kali Yuga is going to be terrible. Kalki avatar. That's what our scriptures.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to come on a horse, and I don't know what all it will do.
Okay.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe, Rahulji, how are you doing?
Radhe Radhe Rahulji.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't join yesterday. I was there at the ISKCON temple here in Tucson. They had the Shivratri festival. So
Oh, very nice.
I know, even I couldn't join. We had a Shiv Puja, so it was like difficult.
No worries. We anyway keep coming back to a lot of stuff, so you'll never miss a lot for sure.
but I visited the Radha Kund Center there in LA with
Okay.
Guruji, and so it was pretty great. On Saturday they had the Mahashivratri celebrations there.
Okay, very nice. Radha Kuncho, you visited in person or?
Yeah, in person, yeah.
Okay, very nice. Radha Radha Samji. Happy anniversary, happy marriage anniversary.
Thank you.
Yeah, anniversary, Samji.
Coincided with Shivratri.
Oh, the reason I was saying that because it is a Shivratri, Shiva and Parvati's wedding, and coincidentally it happened to be our anniversary also. That's why the situation came in place.
Very nice coincidence for
Yeah.
sure.
That's what we were talking just casually. We were talking.
Even in my in-laws, like my in-law, everybody in my in-laws, my father-in-law's name is Chandrasekhar. My mother-in-law's name is Parvati. They have, they are 3 boys. So the elder one is Mahesh, the second one is Ravi Shankar, and the third one is Siva Prakash. So everybody comes under.
In that context, we have a little 2 minutes. In that context, we have 3 different incidences during my son's wedding. My son's name and his Sala, his wife's brother, happen to be the same name. Okay. Second, my son's birthday and his father-in-law's birthday are the same date. Same date. Okay. Third, happen to be my birthday and my daughter-in-law's birthday happen to be on the same date, 31st of December. 3 incidences in the same kind of scenario.
I think it might be a group soul reincarnation, something
Right.
like that is happening.
That's why I casually mentioned to my Swamiji in Miami. Okay, they said it's a very, very good thing. It's naturally 3 incidents in the same kind of relationship happen to be there. It's a good. That doesn't happen often because this is not a man-made thing. Wedding may be a man-made, but the births and all those things and the birth dates coinciding, it's a kind of a, you can say, specious or whatever you call it.
It's kind of an interesting coincidence for sure.
Yeah,
it may get extrapolated to God realization as well. One will do, I think 6, another will do, half a dozen will do as well. So quite possible.
Right.
Samji, and you are the front runner, as I can see right now. So
Front runner. I don't know in what context you are.
no, you're pretty enthusiastic and very sincere seeker and student, as I can see. All right, wonderful. It's 9 o'clock already. Oh, it's 9:01 already. So good morning, good evening, Radhe Radhe, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We will get started with our opening prayers. Yesterday we discussed about Lord Shiva. It was Mahashivratri. Today we will talk about Lord Rama. Looking forward to the discussion today. So let me share my screen and we'll get started with our opening prayers. All right, we'll get started with our opening prayers. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanurmardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Let's get started. So we're going to do this shloka. Let's do a quick getting into the mode and we will get started.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
All right, so with that nostalgic start, let's get started with the shloka. This shloka will take multiple sessions. We have not even gone into dharmasya, glanir bhavati, the deeper concepts around that. We're just talking about the avatars of God because he descends whenever there is a deterioration of dharma or rise in a dharma. So let's get going for today. I'm going to recite the shloka, and those of you who did not get a chance, let's give them a preference today and you're welcome to recite it afterwards. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyuttanamadharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. All right, Amritavani, do we have any volunteers?
Yes, Nitinji, we do have a few of them. Shrutiji, go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Amritwani ji, Radhe Radhe Nitin. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharataha abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Wonderful, very nice, Shruti. Radhe Radhe.
Ashutoshi, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Very nice, thank you.
Samji, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yada yada hi dharmasya
Glanirbhavati Bharata Abhyuthanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Srijanyaham. Radhe Radhe.
Ramji, Radhe Radhe. Happy anniversary once again.
Thank
I see a new name, Neeta Mehta ji. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Neeta ji.
राधे राधे
Radhe
Radhe Radhe.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारतः अभ्युत्थानं धर्मस्य तदात्मनं सृजाम्यहम्.
Very nice.
Radhe.
Thank you.
Lakshmi Prasanna ji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Wonderful.
Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice. Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe.
Sandhya ji, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yada
Sandhya.
yada hi dharmasya glanirvhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Wonderful. Very nice.
Riya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yatha yatha hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you, Riya ji. All right, we can take a couple more and then we'll get started.
Sumesh ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe team ji, Radhe Radhe everyone.
Sumesh ji.
Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Very nice.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Sumesh ji.
Pragya ji, please go ahead.
Pragya ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Pragya ji.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sanstapana thaya sambhavani yuge yuge.
Very nice.
Sorry for taking extra time.
No worries. It's always good to hear the complete end-to-end, like we did in Mahabharata. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Pragya ji. Sudhir ji, it's good to
Go
see
ahead, please,
after
Sudhir
long
ji.
reciting today. So please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, I think this is the title song of the Mahabharata, which we all heard during the childhood. So it's like it's all there in the mind.
Very true. Please go ahead.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Very nice. Thank you, Sudhir ji. Anybody else, or we can get started?
We do not have any hands raised, so.
All right, so we can get started. Yada yada, whenever, he, certainly, dharmasya of righteousness, glani, decline, bhavati is, Bharata, Arjun, descendant of Bharat, abhyuthanam, increase, adharmasya of unrighteousness, tada, at that time, atmanam, self, shrijami, manifest, aham, I. So Lord is saying that whenever there is a decline in righteousness and an increase in unrighteousness, O Arjun, at that time, I manifest myself on earth. So God is saying I manifest. He's not saying that I take birth. I appear or I manifest. And that is what we have been having a discussion on, how God manifests or how God takes avatar. And yesterday we spoke about Lord Shiva, how there's absolutely no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. And today we are going to pick up discussion on Lord Ram on this topic, so that this is absolutely clear to all of us that the Bhed Bhav or the discrimination higher, lower, all those concepts are very clear in our head, and those thoughts are laid to rest for good, because it's not good for our devotion if we keep harboring that thought because of lack of understanding or because of ignorance. So let's get started. Quick recap from yesterday, and then we'll get. So what is an avatar? These days, this is a very fairly, there's a movie, Hollywood movie also came, Avatar, they call it Avatar. So it's actually a Sanskrit word. And especially in COVID times, if you look at it, people are having these kind of avatars as well. This is actually an icon or a figure, as you can see, people use in video games, internet forums, etc. However, it is adopted from Sanskrit into English. There are a lot of words that have been adopted from Sanskrit or Hindi into English, Oxford Dictionary as well. And it is used for, commonly used these days for people's images on media screen. It's like they take an avatar. Do they become that? No, right? Eventually they come back to their original form. But God, when he takes avatar, he actually becomes that. When he does Nar Leela, he does extreme Nar Leela. He gets into the skin of his character at that point. And then obviously he's Brahma, he's all pervading, omnipresent, and then he goes back and continues, closes his pastime. Yesterday somebody asked, why does God close his pastime? Probably he doesn't want to perpetually stay there, but he anyway meets us through saints, through God realized people, and his name anyway persists, right? So God is always present. It's just that our experience of God over time will increase as we keep on progressing in our devotion and purifying our antakaran. Now, in this particular text, we will continue to use it as the original Sanskrit connotation of avatar or avatar to refer to the divine descension of God. So we spoke about, so today we are going to talk about this topic. Is there a difference between Krishna and Rama avatars? That's the first question we will tackle. And the second one, we will look at what can we learn from Saint Tulsidas about these avatars. Let's hear it directly from a saint's mouth. That too, Tulsidas, as we know, his Ishtadev was Ram Bhagwan. So let's hear from him what he says as well, to put things in perspective. But before we get there, let's do a quick recap so that we know where we are. So there are 4 categories of God's avatars. One is called the Avesha avatar, where the soul is individual soul. God acts through that soul, uses that soul as an instrument, like Sage Narad or Buddha. They belong to that category of avatars. The second one is Vaibhav avatar, which is like the Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, all these avatars where God descends as in divine form and manifests more of his divine powers. They are Vaibhav avatars. The third one, it has 2 categories to it, which is Prabhav avatar. So the first category is where it comes with an express purpose and then goes away, then departs, closes his pastimes fairly quickly. Hans avatar is one, Ambar avatar is another one. And then the second category is where avatar remains on earth for many years. They continue to persist because the purpose for which they have come continues, and until that is continued, they continue on that avatar. Vedvyas being one. He wrote 18 Puranas, Mahabharata, and divided the Vedas into 4 parts. That is an example of such an avatar. And that the last but not the least is the Pravashtha avatar, where God manifests all of his divine powers in his personal divine form. Shri Krishna, Shri Ram, Narasingha avatar, they belong to this category. And in addition to that, there is a Guna avatar as well. That's where we put into perspective the 3, the God, like the generator, operator, destructor, God, that we talk about. They are actually his Guna avatar. Somebody the other day was telling me God stands for gives on demand. Okay, that's not the right definition. We generally consider God as a cosmic bellboy, that God, we need this, God, we need that, but that's not the case. So these 3 are called Guna avatars. Brahma, born out of Sattva Gun avatar. The Vishnu is Rajas Guna avatar, and Lord Shiva is Tamas Guna avatar. And the key point here to understand is these gunas are not the material gunas. They are divine gunas, So you cannot really associate these gunas with how you would typically relate to them in the material world. So if it is tamas, that doesn't mean it is related to intoxication and stuff like that. Now Lord Shiva, on one hand, he's in charge of the annihilation of this universe, and on the other hand, he is one of the dearmost devotees of Lord Krishna, who got the supreme Samartha Ratiras in Maharas, and he's the flute whom Krishna keeps stuck close to his heart and to his lips as well. And so they are divine leelas that they do. So these gunas cannot be construed as something which is material as we would normally relate to them. That is the key concept. Now let's move further. If we look at it, because of it, what happens is there are a lot of sampradayas. I'm not go too deep into it, which broadly falls into three categories. So Brahma Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya, and Shankaracharya Sampradaya. But if you trace it back, the tree of these sampradayas, they all go back to Narayan. However, somewhere along the chain, when vested interests take over, the message gets diluted, and then the saints might have focused on a particular aspect of the philosophy, but disciples, they hang on to it as the absolute truth, and that's where confusion start happening. But if you look at it, if you trace it back to the root, every sampradaya belongs to Narayan, because all of these three emanated from Narayan only. So there's no point in having any further categorization as such. That's the key concept. And within Brahma Sampradaya, furthermore, if you look at it, it has further 8 segments, as Udupi, and then Gaudiya Sampradaya is there, and then within Gaudiya there is Prachin and Naveen, and then within Naveen you have Gaudiya Math and ISKCON. That is how so many sampradayas and branching can happen. Now let's get into talk a little bit about Lord Ram now. So Saint Tulsidas, as we know, he worshipped God as Lord Ram as his Ishtadev. So when he got a darshan, this is how he got his darshan, in form of Radha Krishna. So there is a quotation. Shri Maharaj Ji has given a very beautiful explanation. I tried to get as best as I possibly could. So people quote this thing, that when Tulsidas Ji got darshan of Radha Krishna, so this is what Tulsidas Ji says on looking at them. He say, "Kahun chhabhi aaj ki, bhale bane ho nath, tulsi mastak tab nave, dhanush ban lo hath." Okay, he's telling that I'm going to pay my obeisance to you or bow down in front of you only when you are going to take bow and arrow in your hand. So essentially he's telling, come to this form. Now how people actually interpret it is that he's his Ishtadev. So he's rejecting Radha Krishna and saying, I need to see my Ishtadev only. That is only when I'm going to pay obeisance. Now the key thing here is, Maharaj Ji has explained this very beautifully. If you look at the first line, he's saying, Kaho chhabi aaj ki, bhale bane ho nath. Nath means master or Swami. So even before he's asking him, or basically when somebody is your master, you cannot order them. Right? So he's predisposed to acknowledging him as his master. And then he's saying, I'm going to bow down to you. Can you please take Dhanushban in your hand? And the reason for that is, like Shri Maharaj Ji explains very beautifully, is the reason for that is because Tulsidas Ji has worshipped God in Dasya Bhav, not in Madhurya Bhav. So if a servant enters a couple's room to save himself from that embarrassment, Tulsidas Ji is saying, okay, at least take that in your hand so that I am saved that embarrassment, because he's not worshipped God in Madhurya Bhav. So he's actually sticking to the protocols of Dasya Bhav that we had discussed in the past. That is why he's calling that. Further, to corroborate that, he goes on throughout Vinay Patrika, in which his literature is written. He's saying, I'm Kutil, Khal, Kami, I'm just, tormented by Maya, and he's just complaining to Lord Ram throughout. But at one place, what he says is, अब मैं तो ही जान्यो संसार बांधी ना सकी मोही हरि के बल प्रकट कपट agar. So basically he's saying, now I know your true nature. He's challenging Maya. But then he's saying, he's challenging Maya to say that you cannot torment me or tie me anymore because I have the power of Hari. Now Hari could be construed as Ram as well. Let's further see what he says. Then he says to Maya, Sahat Sahai Taha Basu. With your family, go and stay where Jehi Hridena Nand Kumar. Now Nand Kumar, if had it been Ram Bhagwan, he would have called him Yashoda Kumar, Dashrath Kumar. Very clearly he is calling him Nand Kumar. That means Tulsidas also knows that Nand Kumar, Yashoda Kumar both are same. Hari and Ram both are same. Right? My Ishtadev who's come in front of me in his Madhurya Bhav, I would rather request him to come in Dhanush Band so that, that protocol or the decorum of Dasya Bhav is maintained. He's very clearly saying that. Furthermore, in Adhyatma Ramayan, he goes on to say, there's another thing there that he says, Brahmatitam Madhav Madhyam Jagadidam. Basically saying, Mayatit Ram Tumko Namaskar. That Ram who's beyond Maya, accept my obeisance. Madhav Tumko Namaskar. And then he says, Bande Ramam Markat Varnam Mathuresham Vrindaranye Bandit. Vrindarak Vrindam. So had it been Ram, what does it have to do with Mathura and Vrindavan in that case? So he's very clearly, telling that it's the same who was in Mathura and the one who's in Vrindavan and the one who was in Dandakaranya forest. All are same. So saints understand because they are there, right? They are God realized. If they won't understand, who else would? And even in Bhagavatam story, right? Krishna, he asked Radha once, you remember you were Sita and Ravan had abducted you and you used to be Ram's wife? And she actually smiles. So the key point here is, bottom line is that Ram and Krishna, they are same. There is absolutely no difference between the two. And that is how we need to understand this, as opposed to thinking that they are different. And if I worship Ram and, my Ishtadev will change. And if I worship, Krishna, my Ishtadev would change from Ram to Krishna and something bad will happen. That is again an ignorance thing. Nothing of that sort. Both are same. And they simply came for different purposes during Dwapar and Treta. And there's absolutely no difference between these avatars at all. I think I recited this story as well previously, that Yashoda Maya, while trying to put Krishna to sleep, she would recite a story. And since Ram avatar had already taken place, so she was saying, okay, Kanhaiya, I'm putting you to sleep, but just keep on saying, so that I know you have still not fallen asleep. And then I'll continue with the story. So Krishna was saying, for everything. And then when Yashoda Maya went to that segment of the story where she said, and then Ravan came and lifted Sita with him, and all of a sudden Krishna, he got up, he said, Lakshman, where is my Dhanush Band? And Yashoda Maya was like, what happened to my Lala? So those kind of things he used to do. Both are same, different times, and these two avatars are the ones which are very it's said that it happens in every universe. Like our universe, there are so many other universes, and both the avatars take place in pretty much all the universes. I don't know whether they have the same Ramayana or same Mahabharata or Gita or different, but they do take place. However, the unfortunate part is that once you have you start following an Ishtadev, people start getting divisive, right? Like in case of Lord Ram's, there's a sect of people who do not recite Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They just say Hare Ram, and that's where they end. And then on the mantra part of it, right? In fact, at this mantra actually, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It has come from Kali Santaran Upanishad, and in this Hare Ram is first, and then it was taken, Hare Krishna was put first, as if it's going to make any difference. So yes, it doesn't make any difference, but if it is done with a motivation or with an understanding that one is superior to another, that is where the problem can happen. So both avatars are same, absolutely no difference. Whichever one we have started feel more affinity towards, we need to continue progress in that. But the back of the mind, we have to understand they are all the same, not any different from each other at all. Now let's look at a quick video from Swamiji, putting this who is God and forms of God into perspective. It's a very short video. We'll watch this and then we'll proceed further. Is the volume coming? All right, Amitamaniji?
Yes, it does, I think. Can you play it once?
Yes.
And from your discourses that
yes,
God is the same, it's multiple manifestations. So for those of us who grew up anchored to another form of the God and Guru, does it suffice for us to continue to meditate on those forms even when we're singing bhajans about Radha Krishna?
I think this question would be in the minds of many people, right? Because in our Indian culture, we've all grown up worshipping different forms of God. And we've all had so many gurus along the way. There is one God, and that is why if you worship him as Ram, as Krishna, as Shiva,
sorry about that,
as Narayan, it really is no different. If Amitabh Bachchan, he becomes a policeman in one movie and he becomes a taxi driver in the other and something else in the third, does Jaya Bachchan think, I married one guy, how come I've got 3 husbands here now? Right? So it's the same personality. That's why from the side of God, there is no problem. It's our own mind, our own conditioning that is creating these doubts and these hesitations. Similarly, with the case of the Guru, we received knowledge, we received inspiration, but now if we have come to some place where we are getting even superior knowledge, superior inspiration, why not take it? Because that's the goal. Right? Now you go to one doctor and you were not fully cured. So you say, I can only make a doctor once in my life. So I'm stuck now whether I live or I die. You won't say that because you are concerned about your health. So similarly, then don't say this, that a guru is made once, I made it, now whether he takes me to heaven or hell, I don't know. Until you perfect your knowledge, you have the right to keep on striving. Okay? The other point, as regards choosing your Ishtadev. Although they are all one, from the point of view of bhakti, there are certain advantages of choosing Sri Krishna as your Ishtadev. Because you get that Braj Ras where he is no longer God, he is just your soul beloved. That sweetness of bhakti and devotion, you get it in devotion to Sri Krishna. Also, his form is so enchanting. It's easy to absorb the mind in him. Now instead, if you keep Ganeshji as your Ishtadev, you keep Nrisingh Bhagwan as your Ishtadev, now how will you meditate on the lion form of God? The mind will not get attracted. So if your Ishtadev has an enchanting form, it becomes easy. And if there are sweet pastimes as well, they also help you turn the mind. The pastimes of Lord Krishna are so sweet They immediately pull the chit towards him. So these are the advantages. But if somebody says, no, I prefer to see God in his elephant form, go ahead. The sweets in Diwali, there's one man, one woman, one dog, one horse. The children start fighting. I want the dog, no, I want the horse. The shopkeeper smiles, they are all sweet. You take any of them, they are all the same. All right?
All right. So hope that puts this concept into perspective, that all forms of God are the same God. That sweet example I really liked. Those toys we used to have during Diwalis. In India, I don't know whether they have it anymore or not. There are different toys. They're cast with different, they're all cast in sugar. So even though the kids fight over those, I need this, I need that, but all taste the same. They are made up of the same ingredient. Same thing is with regards to God form as well. Now, Swamiji brought about that concept, why Lord Krishna, that becomes easy to that form. And that's what we'll talk a little bit about that today, before we get into a very interesting topic today. The reason we make Ishtadevs, the reason that is the reason. And after we get attracted to a particular form of God, the next step is what we are going to discuss about. Why do we do that? There's something we are trying to fulfill. And what is it that we are trying to fulfill, and what should ideally we be fulfilling through our Ishtadev, or whichever is the chosen form of Ishtadev that we have. So let's look at this avatar part of it. These are all God's avatars, right? They're all forms of the same God. And like we discussed this concept, all avatars of God are equal and complete in themselves. And form of God is where we get to savor in avatars only. We cannot savor God without an avatar. As a light, or as an Om, or as a Brahman, all pervading, can we savor God? No, we cannot. We don't have any, there's absolutely no basis for a connect. And at the same time, we cannot even relate to God in that form. How do we relate to God? Like Gopi said to Uddhav, what do we do with a God whom we can't even interact with, or touch, or feel, or talk to? What do we do with that kind of a God? So same concept. It's only in the personal form of God can we actually savor God's ras or the mellow. Now, why is Krishna avatar special is what I'm going to talk about. It has 4 madhuris. Briefly talked about it yesterday. What are those 4 madhuris that you do not get in any other avatar? These 4 special rasas that Jivatmas get to savor is what we're going to briefly touch upon. By the way, when Lord Krishna and Lord Ram, they descend on earth, they come through Vishnu avatar. You would have heard in scriptures, Vishnu avatar. Yeah, so they come through. Now, Vishnu himself is an extension of Parampurush Krishna, and then through that, they come as an Ansha avatar of Vishnu. However, the Vrindavan Vihari Krishna also takes Purna avatar. And in 7th Manvantar, 28th Kalyug, which we are in, just 5,000 years back, he took a Purna avatar. So the last avatar that happened, it was a Purna avatar, Krishna avatar, not a Krishna avatar through Vishnu. Anyways, bit of a trivia, but let's get into the 4 madhuris that we get only in Krishna avatar, which makes it easy for us to absorb our mind in Krishna, because he gives us different bases to build that connect. What are those? The first one is Roop Madhuri. He's got an exceedingly enchanting form. So much enchanting form that Cupid is the god of love and beauty, right? So when Cupid, even the thousands of Cupid put together, they cannot beat his form. That is how enchantingly beautiful Krishna's form is. I told you about that that particular episode, Gopis, where they complained to Brahmaji that when Lord Krishna comes back in the evening and we look at his enchanting form, why have you given us only 2 eyes? And that 2 eyes which have to blink. They can't even tolerate that slight interruption that blink brings in, which is called a truti in terms of time. So that is called Roop Madhuri. He can attract you just if you look at it. That is how enchanting his form is. That is the first Madhuri. The second one is Bal Madhuri. As we can see, so many pastimes as a kid that he displayed with his friends, with his mother. That Bal Madhuri is there as well. So if you simply read through the pastimes of Lord Krishna, that's a good way to keep your mind engaged and has a purifying effect as well. So that second one is Bal Madhuri, the naughtiness that he displayed and the Makhanchur Leela and all that stuff. So the third one is Murli Madhuri, where through his flute, he can actually steal your heart, your chit. That is the power of Krishna's Murli Madhuri. So when he would play that flute, that music that will come out, that will pierce the heart of even the Paramhams. And that would be so strong that you would be tugged towards the direction from which that tune is coming. That much power he has in his Murli Madhuri. In fact, there is a very nice Leela described by Sri Maharaj Ji, in which a gopi is complaining to Krishna that, why did you steal my chit? Chit is something, our man, and our man is something which is our friend. Like God, man is our friend across lifetimes. Man does not leave us. The same man accompanies us whichever birth we take. And that man, Krishna has stolen. And she's complaining that, why did you steal that? Just because I looked at you, even though, even in this world, when you look at somebody, there is no penal code for that it is criminal to look at somebody. But I looked at you, and in return, what you did was you just stole my chit. That is not fair. And then she further goes on to complain that, all right, the crime was done by my eye. So if the crime is done by my eye, why would you steal my heart? It's a beautiful Leela. Anyways, that for some other day. But the Murli Madhuri is where Krishna can actually put in that through his flute, he can actually steal your heart. That is how powerful it is. So third one is the Murli Madhuri. And the fourth one is his Prem Madhuri. He is the most perfect lover. So that Prem Madhuri, the Maharas bliss that gopis got, so all the four Madhuris were displayed in full glory in Krishna avatar. No other avatar actually displayed that, because it was limited in the sense that the purpose for which that avatar took place, God generally plays that role to perfection. So when he played that role as a Maryada Purushottam, obviously he has to be within certain boundaries. And all the things that he all the devotees who did not get the full-blown ras of God in that avatar, he obliged him as a Krishna avatar. Again, all avatars are equal. It's just that whatever God chooses to do in a particular avatar, it's his will and it's his choice. But that does not make him any less or any better in any other avatar. So that is the key point to be understood. The whole gist of this discussion is that we should not think that one Ishtadev is better than the other or one is less than the other. They are all the same. And that is what essentially we need to keep at the back of our mind and have a healthy respect for all the Ishtadevs, as opposed to thinking my Ishtadev is better than others and nothing of that sort. With that, now let's get into today's discussion topic, which is a very, very interesting topic, thought-provoking topic. I would like to really hear from participants, and let's try to cover as many participants as possible, especially the new ones. I'll encourage you to come forward. When we have our Ishtadev, what should we really ask for and pray for from any of God avatars or Ishtadevs? What should we really be asking them or praying for? What is a good thing to ask for and pray for is what the topic of discussion is today. So let's get it going. Typically, we have our wish list, bucket list of things that we ask from our Ishtadev. So what is it that we should really be asking is what wanted to have a bit of a discussion on.
Sandhya ji, go ahead, please.
What I ask for is two things. One is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukh Bhag Bhavet. And second thing is आप हमेशा मेरे साथ रहें और मुझे सद्बुद्धि दीजिए.
Very nice. Wonderful, Sandhya. Great. Both are great desires to have. And tomorrow, in fact, we are going to discuss this prayer. We do that at the end of it, our sessions as well, right? Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. It's a great prayer actually, and it's something you're asking not for yourself. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about the topic of wishing good for others and trying to help others. How far we can go into that, and is it something that is really productive for our spiritual journey? Yes or no? And if yes, to how much extent, and if no, to how much extent, is what we will discuss. So, but great point, Sandhya. Let's hear from other participants as well.
Rahulji, you can unmute yourself.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
I
Radhe.
think we need to just ask only two things as per the discourses of Maharajji. Only their darshan and their love, so that we can provide service to the God. That's it.
Wow, you're talking about doctorate concepts right away. Wonderful. Very nice, Rahul. Let's hear.
Nitinji, the Sandhya ji had said some Sanskrit prayer or something, right? So Joanji wants the translation for that. Translate the answer, basically.
Translate the answer. Okay. Now she said that one prayer that she recites is to Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, welfare of the world. That the prayer that we do after every Gita session. Second one that she asked is to give her wisdom and sadbuddhi, right, Sandhya, and be with me always. That's the prayer. Be with me and give me good sense always. Give me good sense and wisdom always. That was the one. Hope that answers you. Sandhya, I hope I summed it up well. I didn't put anything from my side there. Okay, yeah, let's hear Rahul. Very nice points, Rahul. Wonderful. Let's hear from other participants as well.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji.
Radhe Radhe.
Actually, you read my mind actually. So I was about to ask this question to you today.
Okay.
I was thinking that how to put this in your feedback session somewhere. Thinking that actually what should we pray the God is what I was thinking. The reason being, when like couple of years back, or until couple of years back, so whenever we pray God from the parents or from the elders and all, we always were kind of tried or kind of brought up in such a situation that we always ask something from the God.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the situation for until last couple of years back.
Right.
Then last 3-4 years or 2-3 years maybe, I started praying this the same Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, and then for the society or for the Om Shanti Shanti, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So recently I'm learning that we should not actually even ask or kind of pray for the sake of getting something from the God. As you said, like God gives always, something gives on demand, right? You said, I heard that too earlier, gives on demand, which is actually not true. But we used to be in that situation. I used to be in that situation at least. So until couple of years, like for last 6 months, until 6 months before and 2-3 years back, I was thinking that Dharmartha Kamya Moksha, like Chitravidha Purushartha, right? I was doing that in between. So I was kind of confused actually. What should be our situation when we pray the God? Is what I was thinking. Like nowadays, of course, I do everything like Sarvam Krishna Arpanamasta, I do that. But my question is, maybe I should listen from other people and then you can summarize later.
Sure.
What should be our the situation when we actually pray?
Yeah, sure. And I'll tell you a story around it, just to put this concept in perspective. Let's hear from other participants as well, and then we can get into that.
Yeah, hope I confuse you, like what I was bottom and what I'm right now, what I told you entire history in like 40-50 years of life in 3 sentences, I think.
So that was a good elevator pitch for sure, but I got the gist of it. In fact, myself included, and I think most of the people, we've been asking things from God for sure, and that's the first reason we actually take to God, right? We said we think God as a cosmic bellboy. Whatever we need, we desire, and we get it. So that's not the case. It gives on demand was the most funny definition I came across about God. But yeah, let's continue. Let's hear from other participants as well, and then we'll say what would be a good thing to ask from God actually. So let's hear from other participants. I'm sure a lot of good perspectives would come. So,
Siddhant ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe ji. Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. Nice to see you again.
Radhe Radhe Siddhant ji.
So I think when I first started out asking God, so I would say that God, liberate me, give me moksha. But then I think gradually I realized that this asking business was just it didn't sit right with me. And after a while, I just now I think I just say that may I just surrender to you. I just wish I can surrender to you, God, and whatever you give me, I'm thankful for that. So I think that sits right with me right now. And yeah, I think God, may I just remember you all the time. But if it's your will that I don't remember you also, then that's fine with me. So I think right now I think I'm at this point.
Yeah, Siddhanchi, beautiful points. One thing I would simply I'll probably talk about is when you said, if it's your will that I don't think about you, then also it is fine. Now, God will not will that whether you should think or not think. So that is a choice he has given. In fact, Swamiji has beautifully explained in one of his lectures, there are 3 tushtis we do. Okay, tushtis. One we do kal tushti. If it, with in due course of time, जब समय आएगा हो जाएगा, that is called kal tushti. Second tushti that we do is Ishwar tushti. If God desires, it will happen. Okay, that is the second wrong tushti that we do. If God desires, it will happen. Like they say in India, Mata Rani ka bulawa aega to chale jayenge. Mata Rani, you have to prioritize it in your head. So Kal tushti, Ishwar tushti, and the third tushti is called समय आएगा जब time आएगा. I think, and maybe
Bhagya Tushti.
Bhagya Tushti. If it is written in my destiny, then it will happen. Very, thank you so much for bringing that out. So these tushtis we have to refrain from. We have been endowed with the free will, and we have to prioritize and tell our mind it is important. And we have to sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, fight with our mind. Mind will not cooperate. And like Lord Krishna has said, Abhyasena tu kante vairagya, with practice and detachment, we have to tame it. Otherwise, mind will have a mind of its own and keep making us run throughout our lives. So, but great point, Siddhanji. Thank you so much. Let's hear from other participants as well.
Yeah, there's a question. Asking is different from praying, right? We ask God for something we don't have. While we pray to God, we offer him our respects and gratitude.
That's true. Very true. But we see the mode of communication over internet is in, chat, email. The mode of communication over phone line is picking up the phone and dialing a number. Similarly, mode of communication with God is praying. You can ask like Tulsidas ji did, but you have to have that eligibility where you can ask. So once you get into a bhav and you have that personal rapport with God, then you can start asking as well. But what would be a good thing to ask? Let's say he descends in front of you today. What are you going to ask? You know what Prahlad asked? Does anybody remember that story from Bhagavatam? God asked him that, yeah, sorry, somebody was saying that.
Rahulji.
Yes, Rahulji.
I think Prahlad only asked that, give me the wish that I don't have any desire. That is the wish I want.
He asked that, give me the boon so that I may not ask you anything. Nothing to ask, basically. So, see, it's better to keep credits with God and not solve the account immediately. Because when God is indebted, you can imagine what will happen. Like he's indebted to Hanumanji, he's indebted to, all the people who do even a small favor for him. Even he was indebted to Yashoda Maiya and all that people. So it's not a wise plan to settle scores or get the payout, cash out for your sadhana at all. But anyways, let's hear what would be a good thing to ask. It's a very important question. God descends in front of you. What would you ask?
Aarti Pandeji.
Mind.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Our scriptures say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The entire universe belongs to God, and in order to rise above the Maya, we should not, ask limited things only for our own family, because the God entire family, if we want to rise above Maya, we have to do things in thought, action, and words for the world also. So in prayer, ask for the strength that we rise above and do things for others as well, and always ask for to God कि हे ईश्वर मेरी बुद्धि को श्रेष्ठ मार्ग पे चलाइए, as Gayatri mantra says, and always ask for God's love, not material things which is perishable anyways.
Very true. Very nice. Thank you, Aarti ji. Just ask for your family. Did you say that? Not go beyond that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Maya is all asking for self and more to those people who are we attached with. So rise above that.
Got it. Wonderful points. Thank you. All right, let's hear.
Padmaji, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Padmaji.
When God descends and he's in front of you, just ask him that you want him, right? Ask for him. That's the best thing. But I have that buddhi, but I'm not there, I think. And then, so these are the two things that I asked. I was the biggest beggar, motherly beggar that I could think of. When I became mother, it was all about fear. It was all about anxiety. It was all about apprehension. So it was that my biggest, I could think like my lifetime, and I was this biggest motherly beggar that I would beg for the kids. I don't think I ever begged for like other connections or the relationships I had as much for them to say, give them buddhi. But for kids, I used to beg, like, take care of this. Now the vision has changed. Now it's just basically two things. One is help me serve that purpose, whatever the purpose that you have given me. Help me see that purpose, and then help me serve that purpose. And the second thing that I constantly ask God is moment to moment. This is moment to moment. Give me the conviction and clarity that even consciously or subconsciously, am I asking something? If I'm asking something, please reprimand me, give me the punishment that I fix myself. So these are the two things I constantly ask myself. Reprimand me and correct me consciously or subconsciously if I'm asking something and I'm ignorant of asking that, and help me find that purpose and serve the purpose. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful. Very true. Ask him for him. Really like that. Let's say from other. In fact, that's a story in Mahabharata also. When Arjun and Duryodhan go to Lord Krishna, Duryodhan ended up asking what Lord Krishna had to give. And Arjun ended up asking Lord Krishna for Lord Krishna. That made all the difference. So if you look at it, when we go to God and with our wish list, we are actually being Duryodhan. No one else. We are asking God for what you can give. It's hard to digest, but yeah, that is Duryodhan. That's what he asked. If we are true devotees, we would ask God for God. And what should we ask God for God? In what form is, I think let's continue that discussion. I can see quite a few other hands. So let's continue with that.
Sudhirji, please go ahead. Sudhirji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, I think this question I just asked Swamiji once. The only thing now the prayers have completely from materialistic towards the spiritual. The turn I said, every day I pray, God, let me see God in everyone, as we all the parts of God. So we need to realize that I'm interacting with the other part of myself. So we need to react or respond in that particular way. So we don't realize that when we talk with someone or friends or relatives or whoever it is, we need to see the God in them. Then we behave in the way we will all be behaving. That's what is my prayers. We have this, but it's very difficult to practice. So the reaction will all happen at a different level. But when we really come down and see God in all, I think that will give answers to everything. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful, very nice. That's why I say when we ask for our relatives or our near and dear one, let's just start expanding the bubble. Ask for everyone. Then why just my near and dear one alone? We should expand that bubble and ask for the entire Vasudev Kutumbakam. My entire thing is a family in that case. But would it be better? Would it be better served asking for it or asking for something even more superior? Because let's say God gives you a blank check. Today I'm going to give you whatever you ask for. Then unless we have thought through it, we may end up asking for something which may short sell ourselves. So, but great point, Sudhirji. Wonderful. Let's hear from others as well.
Shruti ji, thank you for waiting. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Shruti.
Sorry.
Yeah. Radhe everyone. So, what do we ask God for? As Padmaji said that we should ask God for God. So I always think the same. So in what way? It's like I ask God for that. My mind always be absorbed in Him. Like whenever I'm meditating, all these silly thoughts start pouring in, and I can't focus. So I ask God. So I can, it's only Him that comes to my mind and nothing else. So my mind be absorbed in Him and nothing else. And the second thing is that whatever I am doing, I, I should remember Him in whatever I'm doing. If I'm cooking or I'm taking care of kids, and whatever, it just makes you more humble. So and we don't have to work so hard if we know that we have support of the Supreme. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Great thoughts, very nice thoughts, and a lot of good things, great things to ask for actually. Yeah, when we start striving for, keeping our mind absorbed in God, so these kind of things will naturally come. Beautiful points. Thank you, Shruti, for that. All right.
Swati ji. Radhe Radhe, Swati ji.
Yeah, we have quite a few hands, so a minute each, maybe all of you.
Radhe Radhe. Like before coming to this JK Yoga and Maharaj Ji's all videos and all, I used to ask for material things. So it was like, give me money, give me this, give me that. Like it was that naturally. But when I have heard and I got this knowledge, then I came to know that the real money or the real dhan is God. So now what I really daily ask is for devotion. Give me only bhakti. I want to do His seva. I want Him with me always. He should be with me and His seva. Give me any birth, anywhere. But that Krishna Prem should be there in my heart. That devotion should be forever. That is my wish.
Beautiful point. If somebody has even a drop of God's love, right, he is the most wealthiest person. And if somebody is a billionaire, trillionaire and doesn't have trace of love for God, that person is bankrupt. That is what Maharaji says as well. That is how powerful it is. Great point, Swati ji. Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
A few hands. Let me give it to Sunil ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Sunil ji.
Radhe Radhe Nitin Bhai, Radhe Radhe Amritwani ji. Hope everybody is doing good. Happy Shivratri and happy anniversary to Sam ji. So, if God were to appear in front of me, well, I mean, there's not much to ask because He already knows everything about us. So our goal in life is to form the relationship with Him, to have Him as your everything, so you can confide in, your best friend, everything. So He's glad that He's there, and then to share that love with everybody else around you. Thank you.
Beautiful point, Sunil Bhai. Good to hear you. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Beautiful point. I always used to think, what will I ask? So I always thought I'll ask for 2 wishes and then get the first thing, whatever I need. And second, I'll keep pending. And next time 1 wish, and then I'll say 2 more. Okay. And that's how I'll continue until I completely figure it out what I really want to ask, right? But doesn't work that way, I guess. Okay. Let's hear from others as well.
There is a question. Isn't free will an illusion thought, and isn't fighting the mind Maya foolhardy?
No.
Doesn't everything...
Free will is not an illusion, and fighting the mind is not foolhardy. It's not risky. In fact, that is what is recommended. When we say fighting, that might be a figure of speech. Actually, it means befriending your friend, a mind. And how do you befriend it? You befriend it through practice and detachment, and by arming it with right knowledge. So befriending the friend is the right mind is the right thing, because it is said, Mane Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Moksha. Our mind is unfortunately not our friend right now. And if we did not have free will, we would have been robots. Then what's the point of this creation? Only because we have free will, we have the ability to do Purusharth, create our Sanchit Karma, Prarabdha, all that stuff, and choose God. Otherwise, we would have been robots. And there is no point in creation. Then what is the basis for somebody to become a saint and for us to remain where we are? No basis. It's only through free will somebody surpasses us in spiritual realm, and we have the ability to actually choose God and keep on making progress. Otherwise, everything is orchestrated by God, then no accountability, hands up, and whatever happens, happens. We can only live in Ishwar Tushti. If God desires, it will happen. If He doesn't desire, it doesn't happen. We can wash our hands of the complete responsibility. Everything is happening as per God's will in that case, right? Even the criminals, suicide bombers, and all the bad things that are happening will say, no, there was no free will. God wanted that to happen. Right? It just becomes very whimsical argument at that point. All right.
Ramya ji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Ramya.
Radhe Radhe. So my question is regarding the asking part. If we are in difficulty, we ultimately look forward to God only to help us, right? So I don't know. I still didn't come out of the mood of asking. Whenever I need something, I first go to God and I say, need this. And I feel that like even Uttara, when she had Parikshit Maharaj in room and the Brahmastra was coming, she went to Krishna for help. In the Govardhan Leela, when the rains were coming, they went to Krishna for help. So if we are in difficulty, if not God, then whom else to ask if we don't ask God? So I'm not feeling like guilty about asking still. I still continue to beg from God. I don't know why.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Do we have, okay, I see Deviji. Deviji, if you don't mind, if you're still around, you can recite the Serenity Prayer for Ramya ji. I've forgotten it. Maybe you have not forgotten it. So if you're around, you can recite it. That will really help. How do we approach difficult situations and circumstances? So there is a Serenity Prayer, Ramya ji. Yes, Deviji is coming. Hey, here you go.
Sure, Nitinji. Radhe Radhe Rami.
She's my partner in crime these days. So please go ahead, Deviji.
Yes, there is Serenity Prayer, which I really like and resonate with. God, please grant me serenity please grant me serenity to accept the thing that I cannot change, courage to change the thing that I can, and wisdom to know the different. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Deviji. So yeah, this prayer is very important in the sense when we have troubling times, we can ask God for strength. Ramya ji, the question that you asked. Give us the strength to bear the things that I cannot control. And acceptance on things, courage to change the things that I can control. And then the most important thing is wisdom to differentiate between the two. More often than not, we start stressing about things, worrying about things that are beyond our control. So the focus should always be on things that we can control, and that is a Serenity Prayer. I can send it out in the group. It's a beautiful prayer. So whenever we are in troubling times, it's always good to remember that, and we should ask for that wisdom from God. That give me the wisdoms to be able to differentiate. Is it something I can control or not? If not, then all right, it's your wish. Then give me the strength to bear it. That's a good prayer to have. I can see hand. I think Pragya ji, Kumar ji, they might have a lot of good points to add on this one. What should we ask God? So let's wrap up this discussion real quick. I know we are a little over time, so maybe we can wrap it up in next 2-3 minutes.
Yes, Pragya ji, go ahead, please.
And attendance tracker, please fill it out in the meantime.
Yes.
Exactly, Nitin. Radhe Radhe, everyone. Yes, what a beautiful topic. What should we ask God? That reminds me of a line from Swamiji. Bin mange moti mile, mange mile na bhi. अनादि काल से मांगने 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 की एक आदत पड़ी हुई है हम लोगों की. Till we came in contact with Maharaj's philosophy and Swamiji's clarity on this philosophy. So, we ask as per our knowledge. And like a small child, if is offered a diamond and a chocolate, what will he pick? Obviously chocolate. क्योंकि उसको अभी knowledge नहीं है कि ये diamond है क्या चीज. So, and Maharaj's prayer also, Acharya Mam Vijamyam, maybe last day, Maharaj is saying, Prem Bhikshan Dehi, Prem Bhikshan Dehi, Prem Bhikshan Dehi. And this is what Maharaj ji says. I really liked it when he said, कि चाहे आप किस भी level पे हो, aspire always for the highest. And the highest is
Obviously, when you love someone, even in the world, the first thing is you want to see that person, you want to meet that person. And when you develop your love for God, first thing you will want is his darshan. और जब दर्शन मिलेगा तो उनका प्यार, और जब प्यार मिल गया तो भगवान तो उस प्यार के अधीन रहते हैं. So you get everything. You really do not need to ask for anything. And I also want to supplement it with one example again from Swamiji's lecture. Like there was a king who had gone on tour, he had 4 wives. So when he was coming back, he said that, kisko kya kya chahiye, what all you want, you let me know, I'll get something for all of you. So his first 3 wives, they asked whatever they wanted, jewelry, cars, or whatever. I don't remember what all they asked. But his last, the youngest one, she didn't ask, she just sent one number and wrote to him. And when the king came back, he went to all his other queens with a gift, gave them. They were all happy, rejoicing. And then he went to his youngest queen and asked, what is this one? You didn't ask for anything, you didn't write anything. So she says that I want only you. I don't want anything else. So let's all, like, we have to aspire for him and only him. And rest all other things gradually fall in place, and in all the pieces in the right places in the big jigsaw puzzle. Believe me, all the strength, the faith, the situations that currently we are struggling with, once the more of surrender, the more of all the strength you get to handle the understanding, the perception, everything. Of course, it's a gradual process.
Yes.
But when we are following Maharaji's teachings, let's follow what he says. Always aspire for the highest, irrespective of whatever level or compartment we are. Thank you, Radha.
Beautiful point, Pragaj. I think you summed it up really nice and hit the nail on the head, basically. So, darshan ki kamna, to get his darshan and get his divine love. And obviously the manifestation of love is in serving. It will happen because we are Nityadas, being a part of God. So getting his personal seva, once you get his divine love and his darshan, these are the things that are truly worth asking than anything else, anything material that we may ask. So it's like, yeah, if it's like you've hit a jackpot and all you have done is taken a candy and feeling happy with it. In Bhagavatam Krishna serial also, there was a beautiful song that Soch samajh ke sauda kijiye ye nand ka lal bada vyapari. So God is a big merchant. He will keep testing you. Will you stop here? Will you stop here? Will you take this? Will you take this? Only when you reject everything, then he'll say, all right, now I'm all yours. But he has his way of testing, and he has not even tested us. If somebody gives us unlimited fame, money, power, it will just corrupt us, intoxicate us. So God knows where we can fall, and he'll keep testing us as long as we start having that ability. So we need to be very careful, and that is where the Gyan comes in handy. You need to keep progressing, keep rejecting what is not needed for you with proper knowledge, because any of these things can derail our journey. We have not even gotten, where God can actually test us with things, the kind of carrots he can throw along the way. Great points. Let's quickly take a few more hands and then we can wrap up our discussion.
Seemaji, go ahead, please. Thank you for waiting.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. I wrote my things down. Let me just read it. Okay. I like to ask for his grace in every aspect of my life so that I can be happy and healthy, so I can get more opportunities from him to be his instrument in selfless seva for everyone. Thank you. Short and sweet.
Beautiful point, Seemaji. Short and sweet. Yeah. Very nice. All right. Maybe a couple more hands and then we can wrap it up.
Kumarji, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe Amritamani and Radhe Radhe everyone. Thank you. So I want to start off with a story, right? And many of us might have gone through this. We have always asked for material things in the past. I did this for getting my engineering seat, getting my US visa, and getting the house which I wanted. Just so much that I cannot count. Having said that, after moving to the spiritual path, my mindset has changed. Once again, I want to say, Nitinji, this is deja vu because I simply remember having talked about this, and also the Serenity Prayer. I don't know why I'm like, we did talk about this, right? But I was going to talk about the Serenity Prayer in full, which really impressed me. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, taking this world as it is and not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. So beautiful, beautiful words. It's like this was given to me by my friend, a Christian pastor. And I'm like, wow. And I don't know how he said the last one because it talks about the next life, but they don't believe in it. Anyways, so this one is something which is really a poster worth statement to put right in front of us and remember all the time.
Beautiful.
Having said that,
can you
finish
off your thought? I would say please paste that into the group as well. I'm sure a lot of people would love it. So.
Sure. And then this is my simple prayer at the end of at the beginning of each day is, God, give me your grace that I keep thinking of you always and think of myself as your instrument, not getting attached to outcomes, doing what is willed by you. So this is my simple way of starting the day, because it's so difficult, and again, even Swamiji said, do not try to, because I thought every 5 minutes I have to think of God, but then that interrupts my thought in doing something. So I start the day off, and then whenever I get a break, like after an hour or so, I think of God once again, and thank him. So when I do this early in the morning, it just sets me off saying that, okay, this is what I'm there for, right? Because easily we get caught into this Maya, into this world things and the drama which happens with our work, with our families and all that stuff. So this is my way of doing it. That's what I had to say. Thanks, Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful, beautiful points, Kumarji. And I see you have posted it as well. Loved every bit of it. And yeah, those are the prayers I think we should start our day with, and the good things to ask from God for sure than any material things.
I have one more thing.
What we are over time is real quick.
I know, just 30 seconds, because this came to my mind while talking about it. I remember a song, yesteryear song, which I try to incorporate with God. It says, "Na chahu sona chandi, na chahu hira moti, na mangum bangla gadi, na mangum goda gadi. Ye mere kis kaam ke. What I need is God alone." Sorry, I had to say that.
Very nice, beautiful, very well expressed sentiments. Beautiful. All right, are we done then, Mutamani-ji?
We'll just take Lakshmi-ji. She's been waiting for a long time.
Okay, sure.
Padma-ji, maybe we'll have you take tomorrow since you already got done. Let's give it to Lakshmi-ji now. Go ahead, Lakshmi-ji. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you, Amritwani-ji. Radhe Radhe. I'll tell you in a simple 3 ways. In my childhood, I used to pray, do good to all, except my exam days, where I used to pray only for myself. I should pass through my exams and all. I should have good result. Then next afterwards, then I started praying. After marriage, I should have kids. That was my motive. Then that is done. So later, presently, it is thanking for everything I have been blessed, give strength to face everything in my life ahead, and give wisdom to differentiate good and bad, and finally have a peaceful mind at the end. And give me the way, show me the way to do service to the needy people. This is little past. Now recently I did help me in surrendering myself to you, to God. So this is the morning prayers. And the night before bed, I used to say what all is done today or happened today. Thank you for all that. So I used to pray this and I used to sleep. I'll sleep that. And in the morning when I get up, I remember or chant my God's name and do namaste to the flow, I mean the bhumi, because I'm putting my step on you. That is wrong, but that is inevitable. So forgive me. These are the things I follow. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful, Lakshmiji. So as the quality of our devotion keeps increasing, the quality of our prayers will also getting more nuanced. We will realize that. We'll start off with the chota mota things, and then it will start increasing. That will be the next symptom for sure. Beautiful, beautiful discussion. Let's continue to build on that in our portal, because I'm sure a lot of things will come out, and then we can take benefit from it, and start fine-tuning our bucket list, what we ask from God actually, so that it is well directed. We can have that prayer done together like we did previous time. Hopefully we can do that. So let's do that quickly.
Nitinji, just quick questions. The prayer which Devi ji said, can we have it in Hindi? And Kumarji's prayer also in the group. Yeah, that's a request.
Devi ji, a little bit of homework for you. You have to convert it into Hindi, which I'm sure you will. So we'll need a translator for that, but I'll give it a shot nevertheless. Okay.
Nitinji, people here are so profound. Had it not been for JK Yoga and you, I would still have been asking for material things. Radhe Radhe. Shamji says that.
No, Shamji, yeah, it's all Maharajji. See the messages that he has given, they are so profound that directly, indirectly, knowingly, unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously, voluntarily, involuntarily, if they fall into your ears, right, they will have their own impact. That is how powerful it is, I'll say. And we are extremely fortunate to be discussing this on a day-to-day basis. Bhagavad Gita, I mean, if you think about it, it will give you goosebumps. It's such an amazing thing we are doing every day. Not everybody gets that, right? So we are extremely fortunate. And if it's bringing about a change for good, nothing like it. I think God's grace is already starting pouring in. So beautiful. Wonderful discussion for the day. Let's do our closing prayers.
Can I add my prayer, what I generally do?
Oh, yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Before it was like, let everyone be healthy, happy. That was everyone. But no, and then I realized, no, that's not fair. Everybody has to go something or the other. So if it is good, let them not take it into heart and be contented and be thankful to God. And if it is any difficulty or anything, give them the strength to overcome that. That's my prayer.
Beautiful. See, it's a lot of selfless prayer you are doing, Amritavaniji. Which is very
Thank you. I'm so excited that I shared it actually rather than my prayers.
Yeah, as a co-host, you hardly get an opportunity to speak anyways. So
No.
I'm glad you said that. Beautiful. It's a very good discussion. Tomorrow we'll pick up a topic on the propensity that we have to help others, and how far we can go, and we'll draw some inspiration from scriptures and from some of the...
Oh, they closed it.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
We can do our closing prayers then.
Yes, I'll unmute everyone. Just a minute. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschat Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right, it was purely Shanti now, so maybe it was not God's design not to do it together again today. We'll keep our fingers crossed for next time. Thank you, everybody. Radhe Radhe. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe.
Bye.